A prune pie from the Great Depression. Why just live in the Great Depression when you could also have chronic diarrhea? Wants me to plump in my prunes in water. I ain't plumping my prunes in nothing. Buy me dinner first. Pastry! Are you getting plump? Is plumping even a verb? I have birthed you. Easy does it. Blind bake the pie shell. That was distasteful. It looks like a failed grave robbery. Crust complete. Fire! Sugar. Prunes. Smells like botulism. It's 10 p.m. and I'm boiling prunes in my kitchen. Walnuts ain't gonna save this recipe, sweetie. Beat egg whites. How many? Stiff. Fold together. How does one know when a laxative is done cooking? Alrighty. You know, it's not bad. It just vaguely tastes like a felony. You know, when people ask me what instrument I play, I like to tell them that I play the flaccid piano. And that normally puts a stop to the conversation right there. Rice bread from World War I. This recipe happens to be gluten-free, as if 1918 wasn't miserable enough. We begin with a half cup of white rice. Water! The rice is resigned to be overcooked. Why you gotta say it like that? It sounds like a court order. I hereby sentence you to be overcooked. Ah! Cup and a half of cornmeal. 2 tablespoons of margarine. Then 1.5 cups of milk. Scalded. You useless! Do you mean scalded with an A? He's like, nah fam, that ain't no typo. I want you to yell at your milk. Hot, hot, hot. Woo. Well, the rice resigned all right. It is no longer with us. 1 cup exactly. 4 teaspoons of baking powder. Is this bread going to space? Bake for a half hour in a hot oven. Yes, I know it's hot. You get it's an oven. 400 it is. Hello. Like a really smooth, fluffy cornbread. The rice does more than you think. Thank you.
There's a little island in the middle of the sea. It's the playground of the aristocracy. Not so wide and not so long, but famous in story and song. We call it Bermuda. Bermuda. Just a little island in the middle of the sea. But honey, that's the place for me.
Amish lard cakes from 1895. Lard, 100% solid pig fat, a disturbing concept, and we're going to fry a dessert in it. Start with 1.5 cups of sour milk. They mean buttermilk. Full cup of heavy cream. Oh my. 2 eggs. Oh, this is thick. 1.5 teaspoons of floof soda. Pinch of salt. Add flour until we get a pie dough consistency. I don't know what type of pie dough you're dealing with. Disturbingly dense. And now we heat 2 pounds of lard for deep frying. Pounds! Just get out of the box, please. Ah! There you go, big boy. Wait, you didn't tell me what shape they are. When in doubt, triangles. I'm not ready. Just flip. Cooperate. You are... Oh my god. Hello, lard triangle. You were swimming in animal fat. How does it feel? Then we roll them in sugar. Ooh. That in my stomach like a bowling ball. The dominant flavor is saturated fat. No spices, just cream and... I have a sudden urge to hibernate. Pork cake? Pork cake. What are you doing with that pork? Oh, you know, just baking my cake. Eggs. A cup of sugar. The only type of dates I can get. These ones also end in pieces. Blackstrap molasses. Cinnamon, cloves, and nutmeg. It already looks like the Great Depression. This feels illegal. Finger the pork and batter. You've got the wrong man. Add flour. Thanks. You ever see a sewage pipe burst? Bake in a moderate oven. No need to get political. Don't tell Gordon Ramsay. Good. I need therapy. Oh boy. It tastes like a question mark. A good question mark. Bake this for someone, but don't tell them till afterward. Stop revving your engines at me, you insubordinate pillocks! You sound like a child who's just discovered that blenders exist. I'm not gonna race your Civic in my '63 Cadillac. My hood is the size of your entire vehicle. People like, oh, Dylan, you're too afraid to lose. I said, yeah, lose $10 worth of gas. I'm 25? I'm gonna need you to pick me up some denture paste, a pair of khakis, and white socks.
Do I still have a twink license?
Here comes the arthritis. Oh dear. I am not moving to Florida. I'm old, not dead. A Civil War cake. Of course it uses lard. Why not? Honey, call the police. 2 cups of raisins. It's always the raisins. Add 1 egg of lard. What are you feeding your chickens? You happy? Sister. Ah, fire! A cup of coffee. No. 1 cup of coffee. This is a misdemeanor. I think I've summoned something. Brown sugar. Eggy. Lard. What do you want me to do with this? Call the CDC. This is the South's revenge. Ah! Flour. Apples. Add nuts. How much? I need nut instructions. Synonym. Woo! Smells deceased. Seems to have collapsed. Like the South. Tastes damp. Wet. A polka dot prune loaf from 1951. So we're either going to be polka dotting the loaf or polka dotting the toilet. I know where I've got my money. Start by cooking 28 prunes, which is actually 28 too many. Water. 3 cups of Bisquick mix. Not sure if I'm curious or scared. Eggy moo juice. Now we form a dough. I wanted to make this last year, but I couldn't because there was a toilet paper shortage. Roll out and cut into 28 squares. Don't look at me. I couldn't tell you where this is going. I just know it's the wrong destination. Melted butter. Sugar. Then we wrap and dip each prune before going into a loaf pan. This has to be the most complicated laxative on the planet. Dip. Spice in the pan. Keep the balls arranged closely. That is solid advice. First row done. Row 2. Top the 3rd row with nuts and bake. I don't know about this. Between the Bisquick and the prunes, it's just very odd. Plus, it's liable to punish the porcelain. This sign is radioactive. But Dylan, you say that looks like any other exit sign, and I say true, but this one will stay illuminated by itself for up to 30 years. It's powered by tritium, a heavy radioactive isotope of hydrogen that's created in nuclear reactors. It has a beta decay that causes phosphors to glow in a process known as radioluminescence. Kinda spooky. Unlike other isotopes, tritium is relatively harmless unless you're dense enough to eat this stupid stuff, but nevertheless it's pretty fun knowing that this glow is nuclear. Why does every building in Bermuda have these strange-looking roofs? Well, it's a necessity when you're an island this small surrounded by the Atlantic. There's no fresh water, so our roofs are the only way to catch water. Rain here is not wasted, no, it's collected on these roofs and then stored in every house's tank. With no city plumbing or freshwater utilities, these tanks are essentially it, which means every house needs to conserve. 5-minute showers are considered long. And the roofs are white because they're painted with a special sanitary limestone wash. They're stepped because there's then more surface area to catch water. It's something Bermuda's been doing for a long time, even if you might find it a bit strange.
Last known confirmed sighting of the Loch Ness Monster was in here.
So I get this question a lot, and the simple answer is there aren't any. Even when seatbelts were an option in the 60s, buyers rarely bought them. The next question, of course, is that legal? And the answer is yes. If your car was not manufactured with seatbelts originally from the factory, like this 1963, then you're under no obligation to wear them. You can't get a ticket. You can't get a fine. Basically meaning if you're driving a car that was built before 1965, the law doesn't apply to you. By no means does that mean it's safe, though. Even if the car is fine, if I ever get into any serious accident, I will be in all 4 corners of this vehicle simultaneously. If you got them, wear them. Chocolate cottage cheese cookies from 1955. This was given to me by my friend Shelby. It's called Quick Dishes for the Woman in a Hurry. In a hurry to take a dump. We start with a cup of margarine. It's like butter, but terrible. 2 cups of sugar. Now we beat. That tracks for the 50s. 2 eggs. Then an entire cup of cottage cheese. I hate cottage cheese. It looks like it's listening to me. Chunky. For dry ingredients, we need 3 cups of flour, a teaspoon of floof powder, and a half teaspoon of floof soda. Half cup of cocoa. Get in. Finish with nuts. Don't have to ask me twice. Mix. 10 minutes, 350. Hello. Oh. Now that's just a good cookie. It is distinctly different, but good. A millionaire pie from 59. I tell you, I could never be a millionaire. I'd end up buying like 3,000 Pop-Tarts. or ducks. I quite like ducks. To 1.5 cups of graham cracker crumbs, we add a 1/4 cup of sugar, 1/2 cup of melted butter. So begins the graham cracker crust. Uniformity is of utmost importance. Blind bake the shell at 375 for 15 minutes. Blind baking is when you put the shell in the oven with 1 can of sweetened condensed milk, pound of crushed pineapple, drained of course, cup of sweetened coconut. How much sugar do you want in this? A jar of chopped maraschino cherries. A lot. Beep at me one more time. So sticky. How are they so red? In go the cherries and a 1/4 of the juice. 1/2 cup of chopped pecans. Juice of a lemon. Yee. To top it off, in goes a tub of Cool Whip. Hope y'all know some dentists. Good night. Good morning. You are pink. Whoa, Nelly. Woo. I say, this is camp. I don't hate it. Over the top, outdated, mid-century camp. Hey man, how are you? Oh, you know. What did you just say to me? Oh, you know. No! I don't know! If I knew, I wouldn't have asked you! Hey man, it's just a saying. Do I look like the FBI? The KGB? The YMCA? It's not even. Are you dense? No, I'm just, you know. Holy sh... Velveeta fudge from 1984. There are a lot of ways to make fudge, most of which aren't as problematic as this, but then again, who are we to fault the 80s? Start with a cup of butter in a heavy pan. I reckon this is a heavy pan. Heavy with the burden of whatever crime it is I'm going to commit. We melt that down with a half pound of Velveeta. Neither scientist nor scholar knows precisely what Velveeta is. It is the occult, the great unknown. Fire! Well, this is already critically disturbing. In goes 1/2 cup of cocoa powder. It's cheesy. Next up is 2 pounds of powdered sugar. Hold on. Yes, I see. It's the whole bag. Now, I'm no mathematician, but I'm not sure how this whole bag's gonna fit in here, Mildred. Her name is Mildred. This is not gonna work. It's not. Oh, no way. Oh, it's alive. Ooh. Finally, you take off the heat and add in some vanilla. Oh, it's like a tumor. To the fridge. Ooh. Man, that's a good fudge. Christmas crack from the 70s. Now, if it weren't already obvious by the name, this recipe hails from the USA, where it is a Christmas staple. They do things differently around here. We start with a whole sleeve of saltine crackers. I'm guessing that's where the name comes from, which is disappointing. We line these up flat over some good foil. Now into a saucepan goes 1 cup of butter and 1 cup of brown sugar. Fire! We're boiling for 5 minutes. Bubble, bubble. Now we pour this over the crackers. With the saltines. Oh dear. Then 350 for 7 minutes. As soon as these come out of the oven, we top with a whole bag of chalky chips. Then spread. Ooh, I see what you're working with. Then you can top this with whatever you want. I'm gonna use walnuts. To the fridge. Done. Hello. And now we crack the sheet. The name is making a lot more sense now. Ooh. My goodness. America, you've done it again. This is fantastic. Deep fried Oreos from 2001. Now, is this an old recipe? Well, it depends on who you ask. But it is absurd, vulgar, and without regard for culinary decorum. It's American. Our batter begins with 1 cup of pancake mix. Get out of the cup. Come on. Stop being difficult. 1/2 cup of milk. Moo juice. Tablespoon of vegetable oil. And 1 egg. Whisk vigorously. Is my clock dead? It is now. Next up, we fill a pot about 4 inches deep with oil. Fire! Now our oil is hot, so we just dip in our Oreos. Woo! And in they go. About 3 minutes on each side. This is so ridiculous. Woo! Oh, man. Oh. These are incredible. I mean, look at that. You're insane, but I love you. I'm a changed man. Absolutely wild. An impossible pie from 1969. Some things are naturally impossible, like perpetual motion or happy AT&T customers. But apparently this pie makes itself. First you get your blender. It's good to be back. Then simply add a 1/2 cup of butter, cup of sugar, 2 cups of moo juice, oh god, 4 egg geese, cup of shredded coconut, 1/2 cup of flour, and some vanilla. Now we blend, cause why not? Let's hope this doesn't kill the blender. And that's it. While this bakes, it apparently forms its own crust and layers. I have my doubts. 350 for an hour. Done! Enough! Cool. And then to the fridge. Hello. Impossible! It did it. Formed its own pie. Coconut and vanilla. How did that work? You crazy old people. Ice cream cone cupcakes from 79. Now you'd think that ice cream cones are for ice cream, but nope. This is the 70s. We do what we want. We start with a 1/2 cup of vegetable oil, a cup of sugar, teaspoon of vanilla, and 1 egg. Then you whisk vigorously. For the dry ingredients, we have 1.5 cups of flour, half cup of cocoa, and a teaspoon of floof soda, baking soda. Then we alternate adding our dry ingredients with 1/2 cup of buttermilk. If you don't have buttermilk, you could always buy it. Mix. And finally, 1/2 cup of hot water. Oh boy. We fill these up about 2/3 of the way, and they need to have a flat bottom, like me. Get in! 350 for about 30 minutes. Hello! For the buttercream, we just beat 1/2 cup of soft butter, slowly adding 1 cup of powdered sugar, and some vanilla. Yes, you can make buttercream by hand. I do everything by hand. I'm very lonely. Look at that. It's just a really tasty, fun idea. I love it. Magic beer bread from 84. Now, most breads are risen by yeast, those lovely little things that make your bread all fluffy and puffy like a cat in heat. But this recipe is a quick bread, something which doesn't have any yeast, but promises to taste like it does. We begin with a 12-ounce can or bottle of your choice of brew. Oh, this is my type of baking. Just make sure it's not cold. Then we just add 3 cups of flour. Oh, it's foamy. 3 tablespoons of sugar. 3 teaspoons of baking powder. And finally, a good pinch of salt. Now we just go to town with our hands. Rings are coming off. That's how you knew you were in trouble. Hello. Get off! Then into a greased loaf pan. Flatten it out. Then in this goes to a cold, unpreheated oven. Sacrilegious. Set the temperature to 350 and bake for about an hour. Is this the magic part? Do a trick! Woo! Not exactly a pretty loaf of bread. Whoa. But it don't need to be pretty, because that's pretty darn good. The beer offers all that lovely sour taste that you'd expect from yeast. Wow. For a dead simple, easy, cheap bread, that is a winner. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Rich People Food. Today we're looking at Petrosian Bica caviar. Apparently this is what wealthy people eat when they've run out of rooms in their house to walk through. Smells like low tide and teen angst. I've been informed I need to eat this with a gold-plated spoon, which makes me irrationally angry. Charming. Sorry, that was user error. Let's try this again. No! Who does this? This tastes like a mouthful of seawater. Of all the things to hate on this green earth, there's one thing I hate the most, and that is the moth. Because never before has there existed a more dense tart of a creature. I mean, they literally eat sweaters. Who looks at a sweater and says, oh, perfect, I think I'll eat it? You know, I've always wanted to ask them, how does it feel that your entire civilization can be brought to its knees by a street lamp? Chocolate zucchini bread from 1968. Now, when I think of zucchini, I think of good barbecue, summer salads. Men, just not dessert. But we start such a dessert with a cup of flour, 1/2 cup of cocoa, chocolate bite, and a teaspoon of floof soda. Now we melt a 1/4 cup of margarine. Beep. A 1/4 cup of an oil of my choosing. Guessing 10W30 wouldn't work. Cup of brown sugar. 2 eggs. For the zucchini, we need 1.5 cups shredded, skin and all. I hate zucchini. Doesn't taste bad, it just makes me feel insufficient. Wet. Dry. Mix. This isn't just a chocolate cake recipe with a bit of zucchini. No, this has more zucchini than flour. 50 minutes at 350. Goodness gracious. Cease and desist. It's really quite brilliant. Deepens the chocolate, keeps it nice and moist. I don't make the rules. A peanut pie from 1941. Courtesy of the Caro Kid, who I can only describe as an infant male escort. Ready? Work with me here. You need a haircut. Any big plans for the weekend? Whole cup of Caro. A cup of sugar. So you want sugar with your sugar. Diabetes go buh. Eggy shell. You didn't see anything. Margarine. Vanilla. 8 ounces of peanuts. All right. Stop looking at me. Avast! Oh, God. What have you done? Oh. Demon baby! What did I do? It tastes like crunchy diesel. The dump cake from 68. So post-World War II saw the invention of the cake mix, but for some Americans that was still too much work. And so the dump cake was invented. Let's take a dump. Directly into an oiled baking dish goes 20 ounces of pie filling. Goodbye, cherries. Then we just dump cake mix on top. This is sacrilegious, preposterous, daft. Melt a cup of butter. Then you just dump that on too. Then you get to bake your dump. Golly gee. $3.75 for 50 minutes. This is for people who hate baking. And I don't like those people. We have a done dump. It's fresh. Fresh dump. It's It's an unenthusiastic cobbler. I mean, yeah, it's all right, but it's all wrong. If you're going to bake, bake. A cake should be an occasion, not a disfigured dump on a plate. A poor man's pie from 1949. Now this has to be the simplest pie recipe I've seen during my time on this earth. I'm not even sure this is going to make a pie. But first, pastry. Good afternoon, Mr. Pastry. How you been? How's the wife? How you like that? Welcome to the real world. For the Philly.
এত পূর্ণ আমি কোন সময় উঠছিলাম বলে আল্লাহ তোমার মতো একটা মানুষ আমাকে কি লেগে দিব
দেন চিকুর দেন চিকুর দেন
আল্লাহ গো এইটা আমাগো ছাগল আল্লাহ এইবার এই ছাগল দিয়ে আমরা কুরবানি দিব
ভাত খেয়া যায়
না না খাওয়ান লাগবো না আমি যে বাড়িতে না ভাত তরকারি রাইন দিয়েছি
উট কুরবানিতে ঢাকা না লাগবো এখন ইন্টারনেটের যুগ ফেসবুকে ছবি দেখো
জুতো নাই থাকলে জুতো দিয়ে পিটাইতাম চলেন আসেন
হ্যাঁ এরম ফুটানি মাইরাই বেড়ায় দুনিয়ার দাঁত দানা করছে কিরে খাড়াই রয়েছিস কেন খাওয়ান দিছি তো খাইতে আয়
দান খয়রাত নিতে আমি পারবো না আমার শরম করে
আরে বাবা শরমের কি আছে
আয় পায়েস খাওয়া যাবি
অহন না পরে মনে হন যাই
আইস কিন্তু
অনেক মানুষ আছে না আশের মতন ক্যাত ক্যাত করে গলা পর্যন্ত খায় আমি পারি না গরিবের বউ না তুমি খাসি মাংস খাইতে পারতাছি না 1 ঘন্টা ঘুরে আনি
একটু হাসো ফ্রি ফ্রি ছাগল পাইতাছো সুইট করে হাসি দাও ছেগাইয়া হাসতেছো কেন একটু সুইট করে হাসো
ও ভাবি এত স্বাদের মাংস ফালাই দিলেন কেন খাসির মাংস আমি আনতে কইছিলাম আপনার লইগা ভাবছিলাম মজা করে আপনারা রান্না খাওয়াবো
কোন রঙে বানায়াছ ঘর খানি
দাদা মাইছে ঘরের মধ্যে কি দেখে না মেয়ে ছেলে গোসল করতেছে
দেহে তো ওটা দেখানোর লেগে আইছে আরো মেহমান আইবো তুই বাইরে যাই বসো
আরে কই গেল ওই দিন? হ্যাঁ, ওনার কিছুই নাই, খালি বিটাটা আছে। সামনে ঈদ না, মাংসের দাম বেড়ে গেছে, খাসির মাংসের দাম তো আরো বেশি।
ও ভাবি, আমার একটা বাড়িতে করে একটুখানি দেন না, বাড়িতে লয়ে যাই। কি এইটা?
এটা দুম্বার বাচ্চা।
পুরো খালি মস্করা করে।
ভাবি
আজকে আমি ভালো।
টিমটা কোন দিকে?
ওদিকে
তুমি কেরম ছুটেই থাকবা, ফুপু ডাক শোনাইবা না?
আকাশ,
আরে আসতে খা।
আমার বইনে আইছে, বইনের জামাই আইছে।
আপনি কষ্ট করে রিক্সা চালাবেন আর আমি চেটের উপরে বয়ে থাকবো, তাই হয় নাকি?